Hey, you guys are tuned into the Jersey Comic Krew, and on today's episode, we're doing a comic book breakdown. We're going to discuss Robin's 80th anniversary 100-page spectacular coming up right after this. Comic book breakdown for you guys. So, Robin 80th anniversary 100-page super spectacular just came out.
Title ever.
I thought I was joking at first saw this a couple weeks ago. That's the title. So, like many of these other big issues, these 80th anniversaries, these 750th issue, the 1000th issue, these are stories that are a collection of various writers and artists that kind of pay homage to the character, like show us what that character really means. And now with Robin, this book, which I thought was done very well, they had to do over multiple people because multiple people have had the mantle Robin. A majority of the book focused on Dick Grayson, who makes sense. He's the first. It should, yeah, I'm with you. He's not my favorite, but he should, right? He started everything, and he's been the longest running Robin, and we've seen him grow and develop as a character to be the regular sidekick. He got a gosh Batman to I'm Nightwing. Oh, I'm leader of.
I'm done wearing this leotard, Batman.
Exactly, right? So we see him. We see Jason Todd's story. We see Tim Drake. We see Stephanie, which was great.
Yeah.
We saw Damian. So we saw every Robin imaginable that you could think of.
Except
I gotta
Carrie
say,
Kelly.
we didn't see Carrie Kelly. No, because she's
Wanted Carrie Kelly.
I thought we were getting a little one. We got Stephanie, so I thought we were gonna get Kelly too. But
Dude, why not? Dude, Carrie Kelly's awesome.
I don't know. But I gotta say, this was definitely worth the pickup, even if you're not a big Robin fan.
It was.
Just to see how each Robin is different from each other in their own way was great. My favorite story, I think, believe it or not, was Tim's story.
Okay.
Because Tim is kind of like
the James Tynion Tim one.
There was only one Tim one.
There was two.
The one where he talks to all the other Robins about what he should do.
Yes, I think that was the James Tynion one.
What was the other one?
It was that one, and then the one where he talks to everyone, and I think there was another one with wasn't his origin in one, or was that the same one?
I think it's the same one.
I know there was three Grayson ones, there was two Jason Todds, and I believe there was two Tims, one Stephanie, and two Damians.
That makes sense, yes, because some of them were short.
Yeah.
So, the reason the Tim one is my favorite is because he's a little different from all the other Robins, right? He chose this life. He wasn't asked to join. He pretty much saw that Batman was in trouble. He was upset, and he wanted to fill that void, if you will. And it goes along with him questioning who he really is and what he should do next. He talks to Dick Grayson. Dick Grayson says, you should be the leader. You should take all over. You're smarter than me. You should do this. And Tim's like, well, no, that's your path. You're obviously the one who needs to do this. Talks to Jason Todd, the black sheep of the Robin family, believe it or not, who died. He came back and does things his own way. Tells him to give up on everything, don't do anything. And then it wasn't until we had the conversation with Damian where Damian's like, you need to carve out your own path. You don't need to follow this. You don't need to follow that. You just find out what you need to do. There's not going to be a clear-cut path. And I think that spoke volumes to me as a reader and volumes to Tim as a character. Because, Damian, arguably, by blood, is the next Batman, right? You have Dick, who was the first Robin, and he's probably the best. You have Jason Todd, who doesn't want any part of it. He is the black sheep, which, everybody has their own role, and it makes sense.
Yeah.
Tim's is the only one that's ambiguous.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't really know what to do next. And for him to be like, all right, I need to make a decision and then act. And at the end of the issue, we see him. He made his own little Gotham task force, which we saw in the Detective Comics, right? So that was cool to see. What was your favorite story?
Man, it's tough. This was a really good book, and I was very surprised at how good it was. And I think you see that when you open the first page, you see all the creative teams that are on it, and you're like, oh, Tynan's doing one. Oh, Tom King's doing one. Oh, it just kept going and going. There were three stories for me that really stuck out.
Okay.
3-1 really quick. I loved the Stephanie Brown story.
I thought it was cute. I didn't love it. It was cute. I liked it.
I loved it because I loved seeing Batman have to get used to the daughter aspect and not the son, where he could treat the boys basically like he went through like Grayson, Todd, and Drake, and basically did the same thing with all of them, right? Trained them the same way, treated them the same way. It no matter if you're Batman or you're a dad, boy to girl is completely different. And I thought that was an awesome kind of bringing Batman even more humanizing to watch Stephanie, like, whether it's just the costume change, or like, yeah, I'm a girl, this is not how this is going to work. Like,
this doesn't fit me right.
And I have to be in a changing room that's private kind of thing. Yeah. And just the way she is and the way she fights, and him kind of having to learn something, like the guy who knows everything having to learn something about himself, I thought was really good. I love the first Dick Grayson story, where it was basically his last Robin story.
Yes.
And it was his 18th birthday, and it was still Batman testing him to kind of make sure. And he's like, I bet, after they're arguing, and Batman's like, I have one rule, you listen to what I say, and that was it. And, Dick's just kind of like, what, screw this, I'm out, I'm going to be my own man. Like, he took the jump, which is almost kind of what Batman was pushing him to do. Because he knew he grew out of it, and just Batman being Batman, just 3 steps ahead, was brilliant. But I think, honestly, what takes the cake, and it's a character I don't like that much.
I know what story, because this is my number 2.
It's the Jason Todd story.
That's not my number 2 story. I thought you were going to say a different one. That was a good story, though. I like that a lot.
What do you think I was going to say?
The Son of Batman, the Damian Wayne story.
I could care less about Damian in all aspects, so I was...
All right. Go ahead, talk about the Jason, and then I'll tell you why you should like the Damian Wayne one.
And I'll tell you why you're wrong. But, so, Jason's kind of like the character, again, like you said, he's the black sheep, right? Like, he's gone his own path, which is cool, right? It deviates from the classic Robin trope of the sidekick becoming the Nightwing character, the Red Robin character, Stephanie becomes Spoiler, and Carrie Keller becomes Batwoman in the future. Mm-hmm. But Drake becomes his own thing. He's this kind of, tortured soul who died, came back in the Lazarus pit, picks up some guns, becomes the Red Hood, which is a moniker of the Joker, and kind of does his own thing against the will of everyone, and it tortures Batman. And he knows it tortures Batman. I love seeing a lot of writers with Jason, they push that. They push the almost needlessly, they push this need to put Jason in these situations where he has to be a douchebag all the time, where he has to, there's like, if there's any redeeming quality, you'll never see it in the books. And I like to see this aspect of where he's a kid, he was trying to live up to the Robin name, and Batman was his hero, and like, Batman chose me out of circumstance. Like, I was this kid on the street who was stealing somehow wheels off the battlefield. Yeah. So to take that circumstance and flip it, and now he's kind of the opposite of what, Batman didn't want him to be or tried to prevent, but he's still fixing the watch. He's still trying, like even to this day, even though he's done horrible things, he's killing people, he's done awful things to his own family. He stopped that recently, yes. He stopped that recently, but it's that moniker that won't go away from him, right? Kind of like the stigma, completely different, but the stigma of like Hank Pym slapping Janet in the face. Like, he has the stigma on him of like, yeah, you're not a great dude. So to have that redeeming quality, and it's just this little thing that he's been working on since he was a kid, because he looks up to Bruce so much, and he still does, and he leaves it, the watch, it's finally fixed. I like that. He's just been working on it for another 10, 12, 15 years. I thought was a perfect, emotional, like, beautiful moment that I've never seen with the Jason Todd, what they did with Jason Todd, so I loved it that much.
Before I move on to Damian, the story with Dick Grayson, the lesson plan, where he's pretty much Agent Grayson, and he's teaching somebody else to, like, all these things, like, forget your mentor, you do your own way, and take what's good and grow. I love that. And he's got Batman in the back, like, exactly. I thought that was a cool parallel between like how you have to grow past your mentor in a different way.
And which kind of arc is amazing.
Oh, it was great. Yeah, but like that combined with the Tim Drake story, I have it pulled up now. Boy Wonders, like how they have to be their own person, which was great to me because a lot of people lump all the Robins together. This book kind of shows they're their own unique person and they have to grow away from Batman. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. But getting into the Damian stories, the first story was My Best Friend, which was pretty much Pete Tomasi saying, John and Damian should be together. I hate what you're doing, Bendis. Make him young again.
Which I was all for. Which I was all about.
I was all about it, and like I love seeing Damian and John's relationship grow, and how like this Robin's different. Like he has a best friend, like that he could rely on somebody like just like Batman and Superman, but younger.
So did you notice John seemed to be back to his normal age in this story?
I did.
You noticed that?
I did. I did.
Like, yes, oh, yes.
It was great.
I was like, middle finger right here, buddy.
It was fantastic. It was great. It was everything I needed. But and the story...
Pete Tomasi is a small friend of this show, so next time I see him, you bet your ass I'm going to be asking him a lot of questions about that story.
Yes, I love that story. I'm going to get that story and just frame it on my wall. That's beautiful. But the Damian Robin son of Batman, right? And Bat and Mouse, whatever it was. Yeah, Bat and Mouse, right? I thought it was great because you can see they're both trying to do their own thing. And this is kind of more like current. Like Damian's like, oh, I'm capturing villains and like brainwashing them, putting them in like villain protection programs. I was like, oh, that's a cool way to do it, right?
What's apparently going on in Teen Titans?
Yes, it is. It's pretty cool. Like he captured Deathstroke and a bunch of other people, and he's doing this kind of stuff. Deathstroke got away though. Of course. But like to see them both like, all right, they're trying to out trick each other, and they're both so like each other, like they're stoic, and they're just like reach out to him, ask something as his father, and he doesn't do it. And Damian's like, just tell him he's your father, and he doesn't. Just to see how much Damian is like Bruce at that age, but with better training, just shows to me that Damian has so much potential to keep growing as like a character, as a Robin, and as a person in general. And it was great to see the father-son dynamic of Batman and a Robin more so than we've seen with any other Robins, mainly because he is the son. Like you could argue that Dick and Batman and Bruce, had a great father-son relationship, and they did. It was fantastic. But this is on a whole nother level, right?
This is actual blood.
Yeah, exactly. And to see that, like they're trying to communicate to each other, but they can't, was a great dynamic that you don't really see a lot in Bruce, and you don't really see a lot in the Robins. Like throughout this whole book, it was more about honoring the Robin as the individual, not necessarily the relationship between a Robin and a Batman at this level. So for me, that's why I really like this one, but I had to give it to Tim because I was surprised. I didn't think I would care about Tim's stories at all.
But yeah, no, I like that one too. I just and I get the, there's a lot of people in this world, me included, who aren't as close to their family, right?
Yeah.
So you have Damian and Bruce, who Damian was kind of just thrown into Bruce's life, and Bruce didn't know he existed until he was like 10. And Talia, of all people, is like, oh, and you trained him to be an assassin. So you have Bruce kind of like almost cautiously with his own son because he's been trained by Ra's al Ghul and Talia. And
Bruce doesn't talk about his emotions.
Yeah, and they don't have that connection the way that he has with the other Robins, where it's like he knows them inside and out. So I think that like awkward family dynamic is very relatable. I would say another honorable mention is the Tim Drake one where he's with his guidance counselor.
Oh, extra credit. Yeah, I'm looking at it.
I thought was really good, where it's like where they were kind of like talking to Tim, like, yeah, you need to do some extracurricular activities, and what about this and this and this, and you want to be in law enforcement, and it's like Tim like just thinking of all this stuff.
I've done all this already. Yeah.
Yeah, like I thought that was great. But yeah, I was very surprised at how well done this book was. I thought it was one of those like 100% gimmicks where they threw the Robin book out there, and DC was like, give us $10 for this book in every variant.
Yeah. It was worth it. This was a good book.
Yeah, I thought it was better than the Wonder Woman one.
Yes, it was.
I thought it was kind of on par and a little bit better than the Flash one.
I like this more than Flash because I like Robin and Batman's dynamic a little bit more than Flash. But Flash was very good.
Flash was very good. I think this was a little better though, and that's surprising because I don't pick up Teen Titans. I don't pick up Nightwing. I don't pick up Red Hood Outlaws or any of that stuff. But as far as Robin, like I love the Robin storyline. I do wish though we got one story with Carrie Kelly, but I'm sure Frank Miller was like, no, don't touch that.
Exactly. He's probably, and like, I don't want to see him draw anymore. He should just retire, just sign. You're good.
Just write, let
So, guys, that is our review of Robin 80th Anniversary 100-page spectacular review. Let us know down in the comments below who your favorite Robin is. Are you Team Grayson? Are you Team Damian? Are you Tim? Or are you Jason Todd? Let us know down in the comments below. We're very excited